I've been absolutely keeping my finger on the pulse of what's happening in New York City. Mainly now because, at least by the time of this video coming out, the crackdown and things are about to go down. So, Cash Jordan, cool, amazing channel. He gives on the ground journalism. I mean, if we're going to use the broadest term of journalism, but really he just films whatever the fuck's happening IRL. So let's give it a watch, shall we? 39 stores are leaving New York City because of theft. That is not surprising. And people like to look at like companies in this one-dimensional moral way. It's like, yeah, the company is equally as part of, the economy of a particular community and like a store, as people like to think they like to think they're like these monolithic entities. But no, like these stores, they hire people, they pay wages, they add to the economy, they have to pay supply chain costs. And what we have in New York and also places like Chicago, or companies are like, why would we stay in a place that, our interests will not be protected, and we'll just it's effectively just a money hole. So let's give this a watch, shall we?
Looking for several suspects in a drugstore burglary pattern.
Police say the suspects were involved in 8 different incidents where they tried to break into pharmacies by breaking their glass doors or rolling down those heavy security gates.
Great, just what we need, a new robbery pattern targeting pharmacies in New York, many of which are having problems staying open. With Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid closing a combined 40 locations in 2024 alone, leaving New York with about half the number of pharmacies it had just 10 years ago. Before our leaders thought it would be a good idea to stop sending thieves to jail where they belong.
We've spoken to several managers at various drugstores around New York City, though none would go on camera, all tell us.
Yeah, and then this looks absolutely ridiculous to anyone outside of New York. But people there are laws, policies in place that allow for things like this to happen. Not only that, there's also probably a level of corruption, like, police officials and politicians are probably getting paid to look the other way. Because you gotta understand, things like this don't happen unless someone's getting paid under the rug, right? Under the table, or people are passing altruistic laws and policies that stop the capture of people like this. That, again, at the end of the day, everyone loses. Like, the store loses, the people in the community loses. No one really gains but the particular individual.
They've seen an increase in thefts.
Millions of dollars in stolen goods seized in Queens and put on display for the cameras. The thieves had an eye for cosmetics, beauty products, designer clothing, and accessories.
Yeah, and it's odd to argue, oh, well, this is being done, to feed the poor family, because again, it's luxury items getting stolen, then resold on the streets. I think they're called a fencer. Like, what happens, and what I'm being told, is they steal items, they take them to like this fencer, and this fencer redistributes to other people, and everyone's getting paid down the line.
The shoplifting concerns are part of a growing trend in the city, but due to current laws, many of those arrested were released back on the streets to do it again.
This man just came in, grabbed a whole bunch of makeup stuff that was on the side, and just ran out. Security tried to stop him, but he was already gone.
Rafael and Sean Martez have been getting their prescriptions filled at this Walgreens for at least a year. They believe shoplifting played a role in the store's closure.
They have it locked up because sometimes they get boosters that come in there and steal their stuff.
I don't know if they're stealing it from here or they're stealing it from another place,
to sell it here.
These plexiglass screens and all these other inconveniences creates additional friction. And
yeah, and this is something you never see, like, around here in Indiana. Like, things locked behind glass. I mean, there's probably a couple things, but it's not everything. It's not like every type of thing being locked behind glass, like maybe like games and shit. But again, this is just a sign that there are rules and policies in place that don't protect the store or the community. These are things passed out of altruism, out of thinking, oh, we're doing a good thing. But the people who pass these like policies, or hell, in some cases negate policies to be tougher on these, on like theft, is like the thing about them is they don't have to deal with these situations. Like they're probably, you know, upper, or hell, I'd even say high middle class individuals and politicians that just suck the wealth from the taxpayer, and they pass morally altruistic rules. And at the end of the day, the community is what suffers at the end of the day.
Friction is the death of retail.
And it's like nothing is being done.
So do you feel like it's getting bolder?
Yeah, it definitely is getting bolder.
So, nearly half of New York City's drugstores have disappeared over the last decade as retail theft continues running rampant. But what nobody's talking about is all of these pharmacy closures. They're happening 1 year after our leaders promised to get tough on shoplifting, a promise many businesses are still waiting for them to keep. And sadly, if you walk through any pharmacy in town, you'll be greeted with all the signs that the high crime environment afflicting our stores is here to stay, with locations throughout New York locking up their products because here we won't lock up our criminals. Because stealing here's been decriminalized, making New York a breeding ground for professional criminals who take things that aren't theirs and then sell them on the internet or on the side of the street somewhere.
Yeah, and if I was, you know, a poor, lower income individual, I'd do the same fucking thing, right? It's like, people like to look at things moralistically if you don't have to deal with it, or if you're never in these situations where you have to do it, or, you know, if you never got to even look or think about it. But if, like, at first it'll probably be things that are small, right? But then when you realize, oh, hey, absolutely nothing will happen to me if I do this, or I might get arrested, then let go the next time afterwards, like, why the fuck wouldn't you?
Where perpetually funding illegal retail arbitrage businesses that will exist as long as shoplifting here remains a non-jailable misdemeanor, provided it's peaceful shoplifting that doesn't escalate to a physical altercation with another person. As for some reason, our criminal sympathizer leaders don't think destroying security barriers or cutting security tags counts as violent behavior. And that brings us...
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel like if you damage property for any reason, yeah, I think that falls. Like, maybe it's not violent towards another human being, but if you intend on causing damage, that is, I consider that a violent behavior. Even if you're beating the fuck out of a trash can, like you're the tweaker outside 7-Eleven's beating the fuck out of a trash can, you're not going to be like, oh, that dude's just chilling. Like, what a chill food. You'd be like, what the hell's wrong with that man?
As to the real reason why New York is losing so many pharmacies, leaving many neighborhoods without a viable alternative to get things like prescription medication or everyday basic items. Many of these businesses were already struggling for a variety of reasons, and as retail theft continues to creep up, it erodes whatever was left in the store's margins, leaving them no choice but to shut down. Something Walgreens alone did 22 times last year, leaving it with just 189 locations left in New York. However, as you're about to see, retail theft isn't just a problem for pharmacies that end up closing. It also raises the cost of living for every New Yorker, even those who already buy everything online from places like Amazon, revealing that as criminals loot and destroy these...
Yeah, because places like Amazon, like, I don't think Amazon has like a physical store. I think they only really have warehouses. So if all the physical stores on the market or in the community, well, technically on the market, are shutting down, you effectively create Amazon as a monopoly because most people are not going to go to these stores because they're closing or they might not have the items you have. They'll just buy primarily on Amazon, leaving Amazon as the de facto monopoly, right? Like, I think that makes sense. Yeah, like I think that makes sense.
Businesses, they're actually destroying New York City. So New York City has obviously got a lot of former retail storefronts that have been shut down. But if you want to see what out of control retail theft is really doing to the city, take a look at the stores that are still open. Like this one, where pretty much everything is locked up behind plexiglass, except for low demand products nobody's buying right now in New York, like sunscreen. Look at this, even the picture of the product that is here so you don't steal the actual product, even it's locked up so you don't.
That's just ridiculous.
Steal the picture. But on top of all this in-store security, you'll also see something else, a blinking camera array on the top of this CVS with flashing lights meant to scare criminals into thinking the police could be inside or at least watching. But sadly, none of this security is having the intended effect because our stores are still shutting down.
It's terrible what's going on.
Raphael and Sean Martez have been getting their prescriptions filled at this Walgreens.
Yeah, and you just look at these people, right? Like, they've probably been in this community for 30, 40, 50 plus years, and this is probably almost ridiculous to them because they've never seen things to this degree happen, right? Like, man over here looks like he's probably in his early 50s, late 40s. And yeah, and obviously they're going to be like, what the fuck's going on here?
Raphael and Sean Martez have been getting their prescriptions filled at this Walgreens for at least a year. They believe shoplifting played a role in the store's closure.
I have seen it happen right in front of my face. This man just came in, grabbed a whole bunch of makeup stuff that was on the side, and just ran out. Security.
So, as you can tell from all this security plastic, these places are getting robbed constantly, sometimes right in front of paying customers. And look at all the cracks around this product locker here on this Tide. It's almost as if somebody tried to tamper with this and break through it to get at the products underneath. And before we can...
Yeah, but it's not considered being violent, because I guess we've changed the meaning of violence. Like,
into the unstoppable proportions this crime wave has now reached, look at who the real victims are from all this stealing. Now, of course, the store itself is a victim of crime, obviously, but the people who live near a place like this, they're the ones that suffer the most, because after a store like this is gone, where do they go to get the things they need and have relied on buying from it on a weekly basis? And what about the people that work at a place like this? Once it's gone, where are they going to work? Now, yes, every time
yeah, I mean, they obviously leave at to find employment elsewhere. I mean, it's surprising how people just forget or decide not to think in like a macro level. It's like you lose a store, those people are now without, the community's without that store to give them the amenities. The workers are without a job and need to find another retail store who's probably going to shut down, and they have to deal with theft, right? And then people will lose that store. Like, everyday Americans in the community are suffering because of these laws being passed in New York City. And of course, they said they're going to be tough on crime. And that was before, I guess they were voting for the new politicians, but now it's like people are like, okay, we're waiting for you to be tough. When is it going to happen?
A store like this,
because again, crime, like, you'll have certain levels of crime that happens just at a baseline, But organized crime only happens if, you know, corruption's being done, you know, there are policies in place to decriminalize these things. You know, that's the only, like, politicians are passing altruistic laws. Police officials are being paid and bribed not to do anything about this. Like, this is the only time organized crime is allowed to happen.
Shuts down over crime, the brand always says that they'll do everything they can to redeploy their workforce to other locations. But that just hurts everybody, because now the people who work at those other locations are going to have less hours because there's now a surplus of workers. If the workers that were at a store that closed can even get to whatever location they've been redeployed to. But even if the workers can get to the new location, so can the criminals. In fact, they ride around on the subway here for free because we don't care about fare evasion either. And that's the...
Yeah, it's like, out of, let's just say, and this isn't the scale, you have 20 workers that work 8-hour shifts, and if 30 minutes out of a 4-hour period, or more like out of a 2-hour period, is spent unlocking and relocking the product, like, you're going to have to hire maybe an extra 2, 3, 4 employees. Like, that just doesn't seem feasible. Only to a location that's probably just going to be shut down because they're having equally as much problem with theft as the previous one.
The real problem here, because if customers need a new store to shop at and workers need a new store to work at, criminals, they're going to need a new store to steal from, and everybody's going to end up at whatever store is still hanging on. And hanging on is definitely the best way to describe it. After one Upper East Side pharmacy closed, the sole surviving location said that they were getting robbed once an hour. And as you're about...
Yeah, that makes sense, because you're not going to have one group, like, say, 20 robbers hit one place. You're going to sort of have this, like, fiefdom carved out. I don't know why I'm thinking about this, right? Because this is some autistic level of thinking. So you might have, okay, for 5 stores, you'll split that between 50 thieves. So like 10 thieves per store. But if one of those 5 stores close, well, now you're splitting 4 stores between 50 thieves. And then a second store closed. Now you're splitting 3 stores between 50 thieves. Obviously, they're going to spread their enterprises to another 1 or 2 stores. Like, that's just something that just at a baseline of thinking, because again, we're talking career criminality here, right? Organized criminality. That shouldn't be happening to begin with, but it is because there are policies and nothing's being done to stop it.
About to see, closing stores is not going to put a stop to New York City's theft problems at all. In fact, it's only going to make it worse.
Another guy, while he was chasing him, stole candy.
And it's like nothing is being done.
So do you feel like it's getting bolder?
Yeah, it definitely is getting bolder.
Walgreens said only economic headwinds are making it too difficult to cover.
So the reason it seems like theft is getting more out of control and thieves are getting bolder and more brazen is because they have to. You've got the same number of criminals, but now you've got fewer stores to steal from. Like this CVS right here, its theft problems definitely got worse after the Walgreens, which was across the street, shut down. When that happened, any crime that was taking place split between the 2 stores now all has to happen at just 1 store. And you can tell from the lack of rust and dings in the paint on these cabinets that many of them are a recent installation here. And not only are many of these aisles completely walled off on both sides, you've also got that blinking security camera. The store's literally doing everything it can to deter crime. And that's because any surviving store is under more pressure now than it's ever been. And there's no way out from any of this. Unless, of course, laws were to be passed that made crime again. But since that...
But I feel like even if the law is passed, if no one enforces it, is it really a law? I don't know, like, they're going to have to enforce that law. There might be like a Goldilocks period, but then I believe there will be some heavy cracking down that's going to lead to mistakes happening, right?
That's not happening. Every single thing you see here are the last moves of a store that probably won't be here forever. But you know, the real problem is all of this product security. It doesn't just deter thieves, it also deters customers.
These plexiglass screens and all these other inconveniences that are added to customers who are simply there to make a purchase creates additional friction, and friction is the death of retail.
Walgreens.
And that is absolutely correct, right? Like, the whole idea of retail is convenience. And if that's being taken away to deal with a completely different issue, that should be getting dealt with other ways, but because they decided to pass laws that keep you from dealing with them, now the paying customer needs to suffer and get inconvenienced. The question is, why the fuck would I, take my business here? Like, that absolutely just makes sense. Just, without being a retail specialist or analyst, like, at a base level, that's like one of those no-duh situations.
Said in a statement,
friction is the death of retail. He's 100% right, and if it takes longer to buy things in a physical store, less people are going to put up with that. But it's not just the inconvenience factor that's a big deal here. All this security costs money. It's not free, because every time somebody wants to buy something, they need a human to help them get it, and that costs money. And that money can only come from one place. Just look at the price of this deodorant. It's absolutely expensive, almost $20 when a 3-pack.
Yeah, and again, it's another one of those situations where you, the consumer, needs to pay for the failure of a politician or rule passed that makes things difficult for you. I don't understand how these things happen. Like, we're going back to the boiling of the frog situation. Like, they're so goddamn cooked right now. Like, I don't think there is any way out of this, right?
Pack of the exact same stuff costs $23 on Amazon right now. That's crazy. And if prices are going up and convenience is going down, what reason is there to even shop in a physical store anymore? You'd literally have to be desperate for some overpriced item and need it immediately for some sudden purpose to even go into one of these places. But if things are 3 times the price of what you can get them for on the internet, people are going to change their habits, and most people are. They're willing to wait a couple of days to get their dryer sheets. Just order your dryer sheets ahead of time. That way you don't have to run out and then come into a store and pay more than you'd pay on the internet. However, the internet is a double-edged sword because it's both the cure for in-store theft and the cause of in-store theft in many cases. Because although you can't steal these cleaning products from Amazon as it's online, someone else could steal them from a place like this and then resell them back to you. And that is the whole...
And I ain't never thought about that. Like, yeah, Amazon allows third-party people to sell things at a marked up price. Like, wow, I didn't even think about that. Like, that absolutely makes sense.
Reason stores like this, no matter how well guarded they are, may not have a whole lot of time left, at least in this city.
Man, seeing the goddamn military fucking... Oh, god damn it. Deployed in the subway is fucking cringe. It's doing that thing where it's not letting me show it, but whatever, it will. Yeah. Like this. Like, I believe they're just doing their job, but just the idea of deploying the fucking National Guard to stop a problem that shouldn't be existing, to me, is just, it's fucking foreign.
So this right here behind me is probably the most well-guarded Walgreens in the entire city. Not only does it have security cameras, but we're in a brand new train station, which is being patrolled by National Guard troops, and exits are limited. You can't just run out of this place right through this massive front door and then be on the street. No, you're still in a facility which is being monitored. But even though you'll see a few more free-range products on the shelves of this particular store compared to the CVS we were just in, there is still a lot of progressive plexiglass in here, that's for sure. Because sadly, even a place like this is not immune to theft.
As long as there are resale markets that are not held accountable for the sale of stolen goods, then this kind of conduct is only going to get worse.
Here's how it works. A criminal network hires an individual or crew called boosters. After robbing a retailer, they turn over the stolen goods to someone waiting nearby called a fence. The fence then takes the haul to a home or warehouse where a cleaner removes anti-theft devices or marks.
So there's a couple angles.
Yeah, it is literally just another form of organized crime. Like, people think criminals are dumb. Like, fuck no. It's like, if you allow the system to have crime happen, like, it absolutely will, and there'll be that financial incentive to commit the crime, right? And at one point, I didn't even know it was that in depth. Like, they remove like the specific tools to remove the security tags. Like, that's pretty fucking hype.
To this online retail theft component, the first angle is that it makes it very easy for anybody to say that they have a product and to list it for sale and to offload it. And the second problem is that these companies,
I think, I don't even know what Amazon could do. Like, this helps Amazon in the long run. Like, you would think that Amazon wants this because they get a cut of that. And they're also effectively a worldwide conglomerate. Like, one, what would they do? And two, why would they do?
like Amazon benefit whenever something is sold on their site. They take a cut. And some people say that's why they aren't doing more to get rid of illegal products from their sites. However, even though Amazon and eBay benefit from the sale of anything, no matter where it's from, it's not the fault of these sites that New York has a massive retail theft problem. A problem which is so bad we've even got to lock up our ice cream with a massive padlock. Look at the size of this thing. Now, of course, you can't sell ice cream online, but there's another place you can sell it in New York City, which is why this stuff too is locked up, revealing that it is not the fault of the internet alone that New York has a $4.4 billion shoplifting economy. But before we get into the other ways...
Yeah, it's effectively a parallel economy, right? Now, this is what happened in, like, the Prohibition era when you banned alcohol. Like, you banned something that literally everyone has access to. It's like you create this parallel economy that, again, you create the financial incentive to do crime. And I guess if you think gonna moralize about it, that's fine, but it's one of those things where if you make money, you can put food on the table. People don't care for your personal morality. If it's allowed to happen, it will fucking happen.
Stolen products are offloaded in this city that is unique to it. It's important to understand that even if Amazon stamped out every illegal listing on their entire site, this stuff, it would still get taken and it would still end up somewhere else because people who steal want money. And even though Amazon and eBay probably should be doing more to keep the sale of illicit goods from taking place on their platforms, the real problem is places like New York aren't doing enough to stop criminals from taking things in the first place. Here's an example of a serial shoplifter with over 100 arrests. How is this even allowed to happen? How is somebody allowed to commit 100 crimes and still be walking around on the streets? And how...
Corruption, like the police, like official in place is told not to convict him, and probably getting paid either under the table, or they're probably being, probably being forced not to convict them for any reason, or there are policies in place that are waved over the district not to do anything.
How are we supposed to expect this person to learn something the 101st time they get arrested that they didn't learn the other 100 times? We're not, and criminals like this are the real reason New York has an out-of-control crime problem. Now, that doesn't mean Amazon is innocent. After all, the more products that are locked up in stores, the more people who will just go online to buy from them. But the reality here is that in New York, you've got a lot of places to offload something that you took and want to resell, and the city's not doing anything about it.
Millions of dollars in stolen goods seized in Queens and put on display for the cameras. The thieves had an eye for cosmetics, beauty products, designer clothing.
The defendants utilized social media, Instagram, and other online resources to advertise for the stolen goods for sale both here and for abroad.
Thousands of...
So here we've got a multi-million-dollar crime ring which was busted towards the end of last year. And they didn't just sell on Amazon. They sold on pretty much every website, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. And they also sold things physically here in New York and physically in other countries. Not to mention, you've also got people selling things on blankets on the sides of the road throughout New York. Police see this stuff happening. They walk right by. Nothing gets done about it. It's not even legal to do that without a license. And the sad reality is that New York is just such a big place with so many people living in it that anybody who's got that entrepreneurial spirit and zero morals, and who also might not have the computer skills necessary to take pictures of stuff on their phone and then list it for sale on a website, they can make money in a number of ways. The first thing they can do would be to take the products they steal to somebody else who wants to sell them online. They could also unload them from a suitcase and sell them themselves if they want to. Or in the case of food, they could take this food to a nearby deli or bodega. That's why the ice cream is locked up. It gets stolen and then gets transported to another store where it then gets resold. This happens with clothes as well. There was a quote-unquote cosmetics store that was selling stolen goods from stores like Macy's, and it existed around the corner from Macy's in a physical location where customers could walk in. And they had...
Oh my god, yeah, why? Why wouldn't you do this? Why like, you're cutting down on your supply chain, right? Because all these clothes and stuff, they probably come from, again, you gotta pay the supply chain and the drivers and to get from the warehouse. It's like, if you can cut that cost down by just having someone steal it and paying people to steal it, why the fuck wouldn't you? Like, that's fucking, I mean, I'd say it's genius, but, I mean, haven't heard it now, like, yeah.
Stolen items from pretty much every store, Macy's, Nordstrom's, all of it in their stores, some of it with the same tags that it had on it in the store that it was taken out of. And when you hear about stuff like that, and then you go to a store like this and you see things like ice cream behind bars, and when you see the vans of products parked in middle-class neighborhoods that are like miniature shopping malls that can drive away when the police show up, the full reality of New York's predicament when it comes to theft starts to emerge. It's so big, no store can stop it. And we're at a point now where anything that can be stolen will be stolen and taken somewhere else for profit. And obviously none of this security is a deterrent whatsoever, because you can have as many police and as many National Guard troops as you want. A store like this in a well-guarded area, it's still gonna have to lock things up because criminals just don't care. They know that if they wait long enough inside the store, an opportunity will arise for them to take something that's not theirs and then run off. It's terrible. And right now we've got criminals with hundreds of arrests just wandering our streets looking for new opportunities to do the thing that they've done hundreds of times already. They're the reason a brand new Walgreens and a brand new train station still has to lock everything up, even though it's surrounded by people in full military dress. And is Amazon partly responsible for this? Absolutely. They gain new customers every single day. Somebody walks into a place like this and has to wait longer than they want to buy something that they know is already overpriced. But the reality here...
Well, I mean, they do benefit from it, but is Amazon responsible? I mean, they'd have to crack down on the whole third-party selling of items to really do anything about it, or, you know, have you put your government ID online on their site to do anything about it, and that's a whole nother can of worms to open.
Is that without new laws that criminalize crime once again in this city, more of our stores are going to shut down. More pharmacies this year will close, just like they did last year, and there will be even less places for people to buy basic things. And the quality of life for New Yorkers is going to go down, while the costs to live here go up as the remaining stores do even more to crack down.
Yeah, like that's a parallel economy.
On crime because our laws won't. What do you think about that? Should people who steal go to jail, or should we do something else? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, I mean, that's just that's crazy. Yeah, stunning commentary. When there's no open stores left, next they'll go after your home. Who knows? The politicians are destroying the middle class. I 100% believe this is happening. Just slowly and surely. It's a shame how much of a dump the city's become. I've seen one store who figured it out. They charged like $5,000 for a pack of gum and gave paying buyers a 99.9% discount. Therefore, makes each item in a store a federal level crime. Yep. I mean, that's one way to do it, but again, that's just a level of inconvenience, right? I mean, technically, this right here can work, but it is kind of just an inconvenience. Everyone knows the solution to this problem, and it isn't closing stores. Wink, wink. Don't buy stuff on the streets. You're supporting this. I mean, trying to go after the lower class, like, that's not going to help the situation. Saying, you know, blaming them. I mean, are they supporting it? I guess, yeah. But if you can get the item at a lower cost, because here's the thing, right? It's a lower cost because, I mean, the booster got it technically for free, and the fencer is giving it to the fencer who's selling it to the cleaner. Pattern recognition is not racism, on God. Hey, New York City voted for it. Yeah, that's the thing, right? They vote these people into office based off one thing, and then something completely different like this happens. The fact that anyone is even asking the question, should people who still go to jail, is a stark indication of the sad, pathetic state of affairs our country's in. I mean, I'd definitely give that to certain places like New York. Eventually there will be nothing left in New York, yet people keep voting in politicians responsible for these policies. Oh, God. Of course, the usual suspects at it again. Yep. No bail, no jail, earns an NYC this. Go woke, go broke. Last one to leave the rat hole. Turn off the light. Nobody is stealing sunscreen, you don't say. I'm guessing work boots and books are not safe. Oh, God. They're also safe. It's crazy that this kind of thing doesn't happen in any other civilized countries. It's crazy why these things don't happen in, like, another state. Like a state across from you. Any others that blurs the face of a thief in a video should be charged with a crime themselves. No. No, I don't. Again, this is just if you're trying to report the situation, I understand why you'd blur the faces unless told otherwise by a police official. Then you give them the original unedited video. Why does the ice cream of all things go behind bars and not the thieves? Crime in New York is ridiculous. Yes. Yes. I guess I can steal this as a title. But anyway, it's crazy how it's getting to this point. And then how there's another fucking video that I'm gonna do. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. Peace.